Bundle, 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 bundle. My rap style's boom bap, articulate, never mumble. Disney, Hulu, and Max just announced a bundle on the services websites to where customers will be funneled. Apple TV and Paramount Plus is a bundle. Everyone wants to be the one with the buzz like a bee that bumbles. ESPN, TNT, and Fox are now a bundle. A sports JV that Fubo TV hopes will take a tumble. Disney, Hulu, and ESPN is a bundle. I'm over the top, never below like a trundle. Max launched in France with Canal Plus, so it's a bundle. You can catch me in a Parisian bistro, drink a German dunkel. Verizon has Netflix and Max, it's a bundle. This rhyme pattern is getting long like the hair of Rapunzel. But isn't Netflix by itself inherently a bundle? A collection of things wrapped up together that you don't want to fumble. The streaming wars is crazy. Welcome to the jungle. I'm a product of the 80s like Guns N' Roses and Mr. Bungle. Blinded by the light at the end of the tunnel. Zora issues subscriptions of Professor Genius to the Rundle. So ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready.
Hello and welcome to the first Bytesize from Bango. Apologies for the initial start. We had a slight technical hitch, but now hopefully we are live streaming. That's the beauty of live streaming, right? So thank you all for joining this live stream. I'm Ben Kaveen. I'm part of the marketing team here at Bango. I'm delighted to introduce you this great session specifically designed for resellers of subscriptions. Now, before I introduce our speakers, just a little bit of housekeeping I need to go through. Throughout the session, you'll see a number of QR codes coming up. So just watch out for those because they'll be for related research that we're sharing. So just scan them with your phone. Now, there's a lot of content to get through, but we do have a live Q&A session at the end. Hopefully, we'll have time to get there. I know we had a slight delay in the start time for this one, but we'll hopefully get to it as fast as we can. So I'd like to bring in my first speaker, which is Giles. Hi, Giles. How are you today?
Hi, Ben. I'm good, thanks. And greetings from Cambridge head office here. It's really good to be here. Just to introduce myself, I'm Giles, Vice President of Marketing at Bango. I'm interested in all things subscriptions and bundling, so really excited to share some of our learnings with everyone today. We've got quite a lot to get through, as Ben's mentioned, so let's get on with it. I'll introduce you to Hassan, my colleague. Hi, Hassan.
Hi, Giles. Hi, Ben. Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Giles, let's crack on. We've got a lot to get through. Why are we here?
Cool. So we're going to cover quite a few different topics today, but we're going to start off with the subscription economy. We're going to talk a bit about bundles, different types of bundles, pricing, and so forth, and then get into tools for creating winning campaigns. So let's get going. Subscription economy at the moment is growing at a huge rate. There's plenty of forecasts pointing towards this $1 trillion number. This one here from Juniper, so growing from $100 billion industry to $1 trillion by 2028. 1 in 5 subscribers are now signing up to content exclusively via indirect channels. So what this means is where once the subscriber would go to, say, netflix.com to subscribe, 1 in 5 of us now are going exclusively only to indirect channels, which is a huge shift. And this is reinforced by the Omdia data here, which shows that 20% of all subscription video on demand is now sold through telcos, rising to 1 in 4 by 2028. So almost 50% in some markets. So a huge shift towards indirect channels. We quickly talk about the evolution of bundling. Where we started was with the first party products from telcos coming together. So call time, data, and SMS being packaged together in one price. What we moved then towards a state where a single subscription, maybe 2, were given away as a kind of sales promotion, a value add as part of a subscription. And eventually what we're moving towards now is what is often called super bundling, where a multitude of different products are paid for and managed by the subscriber and sold by the reseller, often including a variety of different categories, and that can include different types of bundling. So there can still be the hard bundling, the free bundling included, but now we're moving towards this kind of a la carte. And we've got a couple of examples here, which I'm going to ask Ben to roll some video on, please.
Welcome to Verizon's Plus Play, a new platform for Verizon customers to shop, manage, and save on the subscriptions they love, all in one place. It's easy to use. Visit plusplay.com to browse subscriptions from some of today's most popular content providers. You may also find exclusive offers and free trials to get the content you love for less than you are paying today. Once you've decided on a content provider, you'll be able to get started quickly. Confirm that you are an existing Verizon Mobile or 5G Home customer. Then sign into your Verizon account. Select the billing address and payment for your new subscription. Follow any additional on-screen instructions to activate your subscription, or choose to finish later. Under the Manage tab, you'll be able to see all of your subscriptions. You can also review your billing information. Click on the Calendar tab to view your subscriptions and when you'll be billed for them. Go to plusplay.com to get started today.
Ben, could you roll the Optus film, please?
Netflix, Amazon Prime, Paramount Plus, news, sport, books, documentaries. So many subscriptions, so little time. Imagine if you were able to manage some of your favorites all in one place. Well, imagine no longer. Introducing Optus SubHub. Optus SubHub lets you manage your eligible subscriptions from one place, meaning you'll enjoy the ease of making just one simple payment each month. And it can help you make some big savings every month too. Because when you bundle 2 eligible subscriptions, you can save 5% per month. And when you bundle 3 or more, you save 10%. Best of all, Optus SubHub is available at no extra cost to eligible Optus customers. Just head to subhub.optus.com.au and log in with your Optus My Account details. Manage the subscriptions you love, all in one place with Optus SubHub. It starts with yes.
Thanks for sharing that, Ben, and some great examples there, Giles. If I may, sounds really good. We started off with the wrap with bundles, but why is that important for a consumer or a subscriber? Why should they care about this?
Yeah, we're seeing a huge growth in the subscription economy. And let me just tell you a little bit about the growth of the indirect side of things. So this is really interesting data from Antenna, who just released this in the last few weeks. What this is showing is from their data, which is bank receipts and financial information, is that of premium SVOD, 40% of SVOD is already bought through indirect channels. And if we look at the specialist SVOD, which includes companies like Crunchyroll, we're seeing that rise to 91% are being sold through indirect channels. So the world of bundling is really huge, particularly, but not only, in those specialist channels. Hassan, we got some breaking news I think you wanted to share.
Yes, we do. Yeah. So recently, actually, thinking about our content providers and partners, we have recently just partnered up with Disney. As you can see, the ticker tape going down at the bottom. And only yesterday, we announced Crunchyroll as one of our partners. And I think that really talks about what Giles was just mentioning around being in a niche marketplace when it comes to content providers, but also having a content provider and a partner such as Disney that is able to really attract the masses. So Giles, over to you then. Great that we've got these content providers, but why should a consumer, a subscriber care about this?
Yeah, so what we've seen in the subscription marketplace is this huge growth of subscriptions and subscription bundling. In fact, this is data from our US survey where $924 is now the average spend, but a quarter of people are now spending over $100 a month, which is equating to about 4.5 subscriptions per person. And for those bigger spenders, 1 in 10 are paying for 10 or more. But with this huge growth in subscription economy, subscription fatigue is setting in. 44% are finding it hard to track where and how to get in. 36% are even paying for subscriptions they're not even using. And 35% have lost track completely on how much they're spending on subscriptions. And yet 67% can't afford all the subscriptions that they'd want. And what the subscribers are looking for, so our data tells us, is a means of managing and paying for all those subscriptions in one place. And they want to be able to pick and choose rather than have a predetermined bundle. And there's an interesting paradox that is resolved. If you sorry, it just said someone has scanned the QR code. Please do scan those QR codes for the research. The paradox that resolved here is that if we're able to provide that convenience and control, we actually find that subscribers will spend more time will spend more money using subscriptions. They'll be more loyal to the provider of that consolidated hub. And 46% said they'd actually switch provider. So a really nice benefit there if we can resolve this paradox.
Giles, if I may, this is a really interesting stat, and I'm glad someone's scanned the QR code. There's a lot more in there. If I may, why should a subscriber care about mobile operator and telcos, and why should telco care about that? What would you say about that?
So from the survey, what we found, we asked people who should be providing this survey, and what it's telling us is that the mobile operator is the preferred place for this subscription hub, then the TV and cable provider, and then the broadband provider. So we group them together as a telco. So they're looking for these people these companies to provide this service. And you asked, why would telcos do this? Well, again, in a different survey, and again, you can download the surveys. We found that the motivations for super bundling for telcos were that the opportunity to drive new revenue streams, different types of revenue streams, to drive engagement with the customers and drive up the net promoter score for reasons of acquisition or reducing churn. These were all top priorities for telcos. And we have a couple of interesting data points from other bits of survey work we've done. This one from Parks. So here what we're seeing is, for an ISP, the more services that are bundled, the higher the net promoter score. And that speaks a lot to churn reduction and positive engagement with that provider. And another one, this is a quote from a Verizon CEO who was talking about reducing churn through the use of Plus Play, which is something we saw just now, and bundling. So really strong motivation for telcos to be involved in bundling.
Yeah, I think, and it's also quite important when you look at the content providers, right? Because why are they thinking about this? The reason why they're thinking about this is because it gives them a lot of reach, an audience, and a consumer base or a subscription base where they're able to get more paying customers, and we see that across the board. And again, there's some survey and research about this. So as we go forward from there, then Giles. Could you talk a little bit more about the different types of bundles and offers that you're seeing in the market?
Yeah, sure. So if we think about the pricing and packaging of different types of bundles, what we're starting to see are a kind of evolution from the hard bundle or the free bundle, which I talked about as being like the second generation. This is often used as an acquisition tool. I've chosen the Verizon situation here because they do a lot of different types of bundling. So an example of a hard bundle here is the On Us. So you get the NFL Sunday Ticket on us when you join as a new customer to Verizon. There are also perks, which are the soft bundles. This is where you're paying for it now, but you're getting an option of different types of maybe exclusive offers, maybe they're discounted offers, but these are special perks that you might be offered by your provider. And then, of course, the a la carte super bundling type situation, which we've seen with the two examples earlier on of Verizon Plus Play and Optus SubHub, where there's this multitude of different services of different categories where you can pick and choose to use all of those different services. And I also picked out a couple of examples here of some interesting bundles that we've seen in market. So the Comcast example here, we've got Peacock, Netflix, and Apple TV together at an attractive price. This is about differentiation and customer acquisition. Then the Optus SubHub, if you can see really closely there, they've introduced this new offer where they're giving $20 of credit as part of your plan towards purchases in SubHub. That's a really interesting mechanic to try and drive interest in SubHub and start the promotions and acquisition of content through SubHub. So a really nice idea. So that's very recent. We're looking forward to seeing how that one plays out. And then here's an example from Airtel in India, where for a time they were using Amazon Prime as a means of trading people up to a higher category, but also as a kind of retention mechanic. So long as you were topping up and staying in service with Airtel, you would continue to have access to Amazon Prime. So really interesting different options there. Now, Hassan, you've been digging into some of the super bundling we've seen around the world, and you've identified some trends here. Do you want to just take us through what you're seeing?
Yeah, sure. It's been quite interesting looking at some of those different bundles and offers. And what we've noticed, and the video we saw earlier, is based on different strategies. You can really start looking at different pricing principles. So based on the offers, what I've noticed and what we've noticed with our partners is that based on the strategy in the offers, they can either have different trial periods, different discounts. You can have value propositions where you can have 2 and 3 and 4, and the consumer gets a discount of some kind, as we saw with one of the examples earlier with Optus. And they're getting really sophisticated, resellers are, with different functionalities. So we've noticed that consumers are able to go in and subscribers can pause and resume different subscriptions. And that's a really handy thing. And that's something, again, that I felt when I've used subscriptions, but I was able to go and pause something because I was taking a break, but then I can go back in again. And you find that a lot with a lot of sports subscriptions and sports VOD. So that's a key trend we're seeing in when it comes to super bundling, different types of subscription, different types of offers. As we look into that, what I've also really keen to understand is from you, Giles, is what do you see as we see these different types of offers and principles? What else do you see in the market? What does that look like for a subscriber?
Yeah, sure. I just grabbed some data here from one of our surveys here, which is talking to some of the changes that are happening in the macro economy of subscription bundling. So we've seen the password crackdown and the rising importance of ad-funded SVOD. So in this data here, we can see that, about a third of Americans are now paying for a service they previously accessed for free. So that probably talks to the password crackdown. 36% have upgraded since an ad-supported version has launched. I suspect that that's not true across the board. We've Amazon Prime's an interesting one where the ads have just appeared, that you haven't had to pay to move. It just happened to you and you can pay to get out of it. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic. We've seen people downgrade since an ad-funded tiers become available, so cheaper option. And actually, I think that's kind of an interesting path into a different type of the segment who haven't yet bought into a service. They can now perhaps get in at a cheaper rate with the ad tiers. And some have cancelled outright since ads have been introduced. So quite a few changes have been going on. And what I expect for us to see is an evolution from resellers into more segmented and more targeted types of bundling. So again, from our data, I've just picked out some areas which are kind of important when thinking about segmentation and maybe thinking of genre-specific bundles or trying to sort of put behavioral bundles together. So I'd be looking straight to sports SVOD, sports subscription products. So, for example, 7 types of subscriptions versus 4.5 on average. So clearly a sports subscriber is subscribing to a lot more. This is based on our 5,000 subscribers in the US, but it's consistent as we go around the world. They're spending 66% more, the sports VOD subscribers, and they're taking more subscriptions than others. If I go to our recent study from the Far East, which we just launched a few weeks ago and published, gaming in Taiwan is now the leading region for in any of the areas we've studied: Latin America, Europe, Southeast Asia, and India, and Far East. So 42% of the Taiwanese respondents have a gaming sub. Compare that to 25% in the US. So really big trend towards gaming in Taiwan. And if we look at millennials, again, going back to the US study, we had enough data here to really look at some different age groups for interest, really. And we can see that millennials are the predominant and leading of the subscribers with 5.5 subscriptions versus the 4.5 average. And they're spending way more. And out of interest, their priorities are SVOD, music, retail, and then gaming. So pretty interesting subset there. So we can look at all of those as opportunities for some segmentation or genre or behavioral specific bundling. And I think we'll see a lot more of that as we go into next year. So Hassan, I'm going to throw you a question now. So as a reseller thinking of doing some of this, what do they need to consider?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because segmentation is a key thing when you're trying to differentiate how you're offering different bundles and offers to consumers. And I think what that really comes down to is a set of rules. One of the things to think about is around eligibility. So, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is how do you identify a consumer that is eligible for a specific offers? So, this could really depend on how you want to facilitate and show that offer. So it could either be that you want to entice a consumer, a subscriber, and you want to help them go up a tier from their base level to a premium level. So you might have some offers here where you're able to show them offers that they can't have. It could lead to a bad consumer experience, but it can also lead to an attraction where the consumer is able to see what they're missing out on, and that's seen as quite a key driver. But at the same time, you can also actually you can also reward consumers based on their product tier, or the subscription or the plan they're on. So what I mean by that is you have a VIP customer, you can give them specific offers that only they can have. And there are a set of rules here, and I'm sure there's a set of webinars we will come to it and we can really dive into some of the methodology that sits behind it. But as a base level, what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to ensure that you can look at the consumer, you can identify a set of eligibilities and rules and checks, and based on that, you're able to show them an offer, and that offer is specific to that consumer. And that's really important. And here's an example you see live. Some of you might have Sky. As a Sky consumer, you be a part of Sky VIP, meaning that only you are able to see those offers. And that becomes really prevalent when you look at different types of consumer journeys, and also how you're rewarding a customer. It's all to do with satisfaction and being part of their exclusive club. And as we look at more into this, I think we need to start thinking about the tools. And part of the reason why we're here today is to help you think about considering some of the tools that make up those campaigns, those offers. So there are different types of offers, as we mentioned, when it comes to eligibility. So what do you need to start thinking about when you look at those offers? So as a start point, as I mentioned, you really need to think about what is your strategy? What are different types of bundles you're thinking about? As Giles mentioned before, we're seeing a lot of that in our economy, in the market. You need to think about and research as a reseller. What are the different types of bundles and offers and content providers that will move the needle? So based on your geography and consumer need, they could vary very differently. We mentioned earlier, we got Crunchyroll. That could really be a big driver based on the different demographics and the market you're in. You need to think about technically planning and building and testing and integration when you are connected to that content provider. Then it's all about testing. It's all about looking at deploying those offers. And then lastly, as we all like to do as marketeers, it's all about measuring and evolving. How do you really evolve and build on those offers? So I think those are some of the key things that you need to consider when you start thinking about putting a toolkit together when it comes to producing and developing loads of different offers. I hope that answers your question, Giles, around what it means when it comes to segmentation, but also how do you really start thinking about different toolkits when it comes to different offers. So what do you think,
Yeah,
Giles?
that's great. Should we have a look at some of the functionality then that's a little bit layer down from this?
Sure, yeah. So when we start looking at producing an offer, there's a set of different capabilities and functionality that we need to start thinking about as a reseller. At a very high level, it's all around making sure you have a solution that is able to create an offer, a centralized place where you're able to manage price changes. And then you have notification of price changes, renewals, etc. That should be layered down with functionality that the subscriber is asking for. We've talked about pause and resume. We've talked about being able to upgrade and downgrade, etc. We've talked about a little bit around the policy management. Those are some of the really key element functionality that's needed, that you need to consider as a reseller when you start looking at different types of content providers, more specifically different types of offers. So as you mentioned, Giles, what does it take to build an offer. So if I was to run very quickly at a high level, things to consider that you should think about. Firstly, have a look at the content provider you want to choose. Secondly, have a look at the product that you want to offer. These sounds elementary, basic things, but these are the basic principles that you need to follow to enable a good offer. Then have a really think about an offer template. What I mean by that is, you might already know the type of template and offer you want might to produce. So, for example, we all know Christmas is only a couple of months away, and that's going to be coming up. And what you will find is you'll find a lot of different offers out there specifically targeted to Christmas. You might see a little Santa hat, etc., on a logo. Everyone understands that, and it's a template that is followed not just in a marketplace but globally across the board. So now you have to think about different templates you might have. As an offer, you want to now give it a unique identity. Think about a different name for it. You can have a Christmas offer, you can have a Black Friday offer, you can have a summer, etc., whatever it is. Think about the different assets that you want to create. So content provider will need to make sure that their product is displayed based on the rules that they've set on their product. So you need to adhere to that and produce the offer based on that as a reseller. But most importantly, the thing is around the commercial information. So what I mean by that is creating an offer is, it's not just about a price and a set price or a free offer. It's all around the different kind of strategy that you have. So you might have an offer that's free, then it goes to 50% off, then it goes to 75% off, then it goes to full price, or it starts with a full price to 50% off, 20% off. It's really around that. You'll need to include some T's and C's. And then once all of that is done, and as I talked about, it's around looking to see how do you now manage and how do you measure it. So one way to measure it is around looking to see how the offer is performing, how the campaign is performing. Did it do well? Did it not do well? How can you learn? How can you evolve? And more importantly, what we've noticed, especially at Bango, is that being part of an ecosystem is really important, because that means that you are able to get a set of data and benchmarking that does not exist anywhere else. So you need to be able to understand how does an offer perform globally in different marketplaces across different set of channels and customers. So having all of that information is really critical when you're putting an offer together, you're measuring it, and now you're evolving it to making it a little bit better.
So thanks, Hassan. You've made that sound very simple. So I think we're about to see what the catch is.
Well, the catch is that it is not that simple, because there's a lot to do when it comes to managing an offer. And this is just looking at one offer, and now you multiply this with hundreds of different offers. So what we see is that within Bango, we've noticed over the last year or so, and one example is that we've had 260 different product SKUs. These are essentially.
So Sam, this is an example, right, where we've got 45 different content providers in one place, and then the data that we're seeing behind the scenes is what we've got here, right?
Yeah, totally. Exactly that. So this is just some of the data. So it comes to the complexity of managing that content provider and the reseller. And you could multiply this across the board. So a price change theoretically could happen anytime. A content provider is changing pricing all the time. We've all experienced it. I'm pretty sure everyone on here listening to this, if they're on Amazon Prime, have had to agree to a price change last year as a consumer. But what that also means is that as a consumer, that's something you experience. But as a reseller, it has a huge impact on the things that you have to enable and the things you have to change. So it's not as simple as might look, Giles. There's a lot to it, and I'm sure within some of the other webinars we'll get into that.
Yeah, sure. So in that situation, we had 45 different content providers contributing 260 product SKUs, 2,500 bundle combinations being used. and we manage 34 different price requests in a short time period, and all of that's being obfuscated by using the right tooling.
Yeah, totally. And all of that is taking a lot of time and resource, as you can imagine, within business. So being able
Okay,
to
so
simplify this makes a lot of sense.
So once we've considered all of this, I guess the next bit before we launch, which is probably as far as we'll take it today, the pre-launch, is the consumer experience and front end. So what can you tell
Yeah,
us about that?
I'll run through this very quickly, based on the time we have and the audience we've got live. Really, at a nutshell, without going too deeper, is you need to be able to display this offer and to an end consumer. How you do that really enables you to justify your strategy. So what I mean by that is you have an example here where you need to consider, how do you do this? It could be through a marketplace or a sub-hub, etc. There's an example here. We saw a video earlier. But things to consider when you're displaying an offer is around the pricing, the different kind of branding of an offer, how is displayed, where is displayed, how is the consumer journey looks like when it comes to the e-commerce journey for it. So all of those are really, really important. And I think as a very high level, that's a really critical step, because you want the consumer to be able to not just browse an offer, you want them to buy an offer, but more importantly, you want them to be able to go and manage an offer. So you want a content hub of some kind where they're able to manage that offer, getting rid of that pain or the complexity you were mentioning earlier, Giles, around having something in one place. They're able to manage an offer, they can cancel it, they can pause it, they can resume it. So at a very high level, if I would say creating an offer is simple, managing an offer is complicated, but how you display an offer and how your consumer is able to digest that is even more critical, and how they get to it. So I'll end it there, and I hope that gives you a very high level but a good overview of what it takes to create a simple offer, how you manage it, and how you display it.
That's great. Thanks, Hassan. I'll bring it to a close then. So what we've been showing you here is some of our data and some of the information that we've gathered. We've got a growing ecosystem here at Bango of over 100 content providers and a huge number of resellers from different areas, telcos, banks, retail, and otherwise. And from that, we're gathering a lot of knowledge, which we want to share with you. We're very happy to do more webinars on specific topics. So if anyone in the audience wants to see anything more in a particular area, please let us know. In the meantime, I think we'll bring it to a close there just to recover some time. And I'll bring Ben back in if that's okay. And we'll see if there are any questions from the audience. If you want to put one in, please do so by the chat, I presume. Ben, over to you. Thanks.
Thank you very much for that, guys. There's some really interesting stuff in there, I'm sure, very useful for many of the audience. We've had one question that's come through saying, where is the sweet spot for number of subscriptions offered by my telco hub? Where would that sweet spot be? Quite an interesting question.
Yeah, okay. I'll take that. I think the first place is to start with what's your objective? Why are you getting involved in bundling at all? And there could be a number of different reasons. Customer acquisition is one, retention, of course, is another, and there'll be different offers and bundles that suit different situations. An acquisition offer might be a very deep discount on a popular product, for example, whereas retention, you're probably getting into something that looks more like super bundling with a multitude of different offers. If setting up a new subscription hub today, I would probably say look at SVOD as the starting point. You probably need a tentpole, a Netflix, Disney, a Prime to be like the starting point of your subscription bundling business. We also saw today evidence for the sports VOD. I still have a dream that here in the UK, someone's going to put together all of the top sporting subscriptions, probably in the mobile only version, which might be more suitable for the providers and bring the price point down. But that kind of sports bundle would be awesome. I think that would be great in the US too, and in other markets where sports rights are getting increasingly fragmented. And then look at the breadth and depth. And I think really I'd be thinking about the segmentation of the audience. So as a telco or as a reseller, I'd be looking at who are in my target groups. How do I go to market already? Am I already identifying big groups that have behavioral similarities or otherwise? And then look at how to build bundles that suit them, and then do one for the next one and the next one and the next one, or split in between it. So you might, for example, build a bundle around gamers. You might build it around home workers. I don't know. There's lots of behavioral areas that you could look at, and then build bundles around that. And I think probably we'll see us moving beyond the traditional of SVOD, retail, gaming, and maybe we'll start to see some sort of Internet of Things type subscription products coming into it. And when I think of that, like, I don't know, a Ring doorbell subscription, this kind of thing, other brands are available, then you will start to open up the possibility of maybe here's a utility company doing a bundle with Internet of Things, connected products around the house, which are probably more suited to them than anyone else. So it's kind of an endless opportunity here with bundling. So I don't think we know yet what the right number is, but I would actually start from another position of who's my audience and what am I trying to deliver and what am I trying to achieve with them.
Thank you. No, that's a good answer. One more that's come through. Aside from the technical complexity, what other big challenges exist in getting an offer live in the channel? Who's going to take that one?
Yeah. I can start it off maybe, and then Giles can come into it, given his background when it comes to marketing. And I think technical complexity is a huge one. Other challenges that really exist is when it comes to, and I've been talking about this today, around the consumer journey, the flow of what offers they're seeing. How are you able to communicate that to a customer? At what point do you communicate it? What do they see when it comes to getting a new consumer? And how do you also offer something to a customer when it comes to retention? And those tools are really around around communication, marketing, how you're able to give them access to those products, but also make them feel important. So there's a lot to do with around customer satisfaction and really around making sure that they're part of an exclusive club. Saying that, I'll pass the baton over to Giles, and I'm sure he can talk a little bit more around the marketing principles that could really help when it comes to more than just a technical element.
Yeah, I was, as you were saying that, I was thinking of a few areas. So following on from what you were saying, how's the offer presented? How do you bring customers into your subscription hub? How do you drive activation? So somebody might have an offer. I don't know, let's say you get given a product free with your plan. How do you actually make someone go and consume that so that they then do convert to a paying customer? But even if we roll back before that, if I'm a reseller and I'm thinking about building a content hub, typically each negotiation with a content provider could take around a year. So it's a long time to, even from a non-technical point of view, get through the legals and commercials of getting something live. So, and I would say this, work with a partner who can help with that and maybe expedite some of that, or at least help navigate the way around that. So there's a number of different areas: commercial, legal, the marketing, pre-launch, post-launch, the ongoing business as usual kind of area. Integrating that with other communication objectives that a business might have. So at times we've seen, new plans being launched or new overall brand marketing objectives being fulfilled way higher in the priority than, say, launching a new bundle. So it's sort of getting ahead of that and getting everything planned in so that your activity in the bundling world has sufficient priority within your organization.
That's good. Another question that's come up around, has there been any kind of particular global differences, so particular regions that are outperforming others in the bundling space, or is there any kind of light that you can shine on that area?
Yeah, so we used to do US only subscriber studies, and we found that to be so popular that we've started to do Latin America, 6 countries in Europe, Far East, Southeast Asia, And we've seen the kind of general trends that we talked about at the start of this. I was using a lot of US data to talk about subscription fatigue and so on. We've seen that to be true across all our markets. There's, you know, some nuances there. The US tends to be the most advanced, so the most subscriptions and certainly the most spend is there. But the behaviors are true in all the markets. There's some slight variances between who should provide subscription bundling. So telcos are usually first. You know, sometimes payments and wallets come in. The types of subscriptions that consumers are taking varies. SVOD is always top. Retail, gaming, sports changes quite a lot. Sports was quite low in Japan, if I remember. Gaming, as I mentioned earlier, was high in Taiwan and South Korea. So there's variances there. I can recall that here in the UK, we seem to be paying more per subscription than most markets. So yeah, there are some variances, and there's our global trends report, which compares the three biggest studies we've done against each other. But the trend towards super bundling and the use of bundling, you know, as we've seen with the Omdia data, 20% of all SVOD already sold through telcos. I mean, it's those trends are global. I think those are sort of attached to the macro situation. There are nuances, but you know, even the nuances aren't massively profound.
No, thank you. Yeah, I mean, just to kind of wrap everything up, if anyone wants, you know, more information about, you know, the piece that we've done, you know, the piece we've talked about here, the research that we've done, a lot of primary research that we've done, or even secondary research through some of our partners, you can access them on our website. You can scan the QR code that's just on the right-hand side there. But what about if they wanted to learn more about, you know, engaging with Bango and, you know, looking at what does the DVM mean for me? What should they do? What's their key actions there?
I think, do you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. I think, I mean, firstly, we've got all the information there. When it comes to the product itself, come and talk to us. There's a lot of information there. But more importantly, watch the space. I think we're given an overview, going to set it up when it comes to the marketplace, what subscription economy is like. But we'll be diving more in deep around what makes a digital vending machine. More importantly, at a very high level, what does it take to create a bundling business? What does it create for you to integrate, connect to different content provider? What are the capabilities that you need? What functionality do you need? So I would say nicely, you know, pitched there, Ben, from you. But I would say we should, if you're interested, there'll be more of these webinars where we'll really go into the intricacies. We'll bring in more experts when it comes to the product itself. We'll bring in experts when it comes to the architecture of what you need to create, what your tech team needs to create. So at a high level, come and talk to us, but watch this space. There's more to come.
Excellent. Well, again, thank you very much for your time on this live stream, Giles, Hassan. I know we had a few technical issues at the start, but we eventually got through it. That's the beauty of live streaming. We hope that it's been, you know, an enjoyable session for you guys. And I'm sure the audience have found this very useful as well. This will be a recording as well, so I'm sure that the people who didn't get a chance to watch this can watch this again afterwards on demand. But thank you very much. I'll bring it to a close, and yeah, wish you all the very best for the rest of the day.
Thanks all.